Welcome back to the Drone Wars podcast. As it's December, you know what time of year it is. It's Spotify Wrapped time of year. As some of you know, I'm kind of a big deal on LinkedIn. And to celebrate the over 10 million views we've gotten this year, we wanted to go over our favorite videos and create the 12 Days of Drone Wars. It's kind of a modern take on a classic Christmas song, The 12 Days of Christmas, where we go over 12 of our favorite videos from the drone space this year. And I hope you enjoy them. In what is one of my favorite counter UAS videos of all time, you have a drone that drops a rope with washers on it and then hovers down into the path of an enemy combatant drone to get the wire wrapped into that other drone's rotors. And then once it catches it and it knows it's got its prey, it has a release mechanism on the rope to drop it. One of the most innovative, simple, low-cost solutions for counter-UAS we've seen out of the war in Ukraine, coming in at number 12. Let's call it counter-UAS fishing. Coming in at number 11, we have big tire Robo-Cop out of China. This one is fucking rad. Oh my God. Oh, I fucking love this video.
Straight out of a sci-fi movie, this spherical security robot is redefining public safety in Wenzhou's bustling streets. Rolling seamlessly across land and water, this futuristic bot boasts cameras, LiDAR, and flashing lights that make it unmissable.
While I want to laugh when I look at this video, because it's basically a massive tire with a bunch of sensors and a net gun on it, I mean, like, pretty clever design. And if you see how they're testing it, like the guy barely takes a swing at it. This is a really interesting innovation. As you're going to see with a lot of these videos, China has been just testing the bounds for all things robots. And I think that's what you're seeing here with this what do you want to call it, tire Robo-Cop drone that we're seeing. But in all honesty, I think it's a really interesting idea. I mean, you see that you have drone first responder popping up all over the US and increasingly in Europe. This could be the next evolution of it too. Not just drones in the air, but drones on the ground that are helping keep the streets safe. Coming in at number 10, we have counter UAS fishing nets. You have like a super interesting innovation we've seen get basically deployed across, the battlefield in Ukraine over the last, 12-ish months, basically where they're using fishing net and they're stringing it over supply roads so that the FPV drones can't get in there as easily to strike supply vehicles, right? As the war becomes increasingly a war of attrition fought with both smart and dumb drones, sometimes it's the simple solutions that add a ton of support and protection to folks, like the spider web kind of net you're seeing. Oh, this thing's so fucking cool. And what is one of the coolest things you will ever see drones do, coming in at number 9 from ETH Zurich, aka Robot Hub Europe, we have the autonomous aerial construction. It's almost like drones flying around, acting like spiders. And, a lot of times we talk about like how drones are being used on the battlefield, but this is an incredible example of what I like to call drones for good, which is how you're using these autonomous systems to change the way in which we do things as a species, and not like to replace, but to complement. And so what you see here is these drones acting in an autonomous manner to almost build support structures for construction. It's a really, really cool thing. And I think it pretends to like a lot of really interesting changes we will see over the next decades as drones get deployed in a much larger fashion. Coming in at number 8, we got Russia's Pearl Harbor, aka the spider webs attack. So during the spider's web attack, what the Ukrainians were able to do was sneak parts and people into Russia, basically build these drones that could be controlled from back in Ukraine, but that were operating thousands of miles away, these FPV drones, and then park like shipping containers where the tops would open and have these drones fly out and attack the Russian strategic bombing fleet. They were quite effective. The Russians were lucky. The Ukrainians did not blow like everything up, but it showed a very marked evolution in drone warfare that the Ukrainians are now using on a daily basis, which is leveraging things like Starlink to then have vehicles transport drones to a certain point and then have the drones launch from there. You're seeing this in tons of attack on infrastructure and tons of attack basically in anything that's coastal, where now a lot of boats are basically carrying boxes of FPV drones to a location, they're parking, and then using Starlink and then radio frequency links or LTE from there, they're taking off from those boats and going and striking strategic targets. So not only was it a big blow for Russia, but it really showed a change that is like massive for warfare. And I also think it was a big wake-up moment for the West and for folks that have kind of freer, more open societies, because it just shows that anyone could basically take off-the-shelf technologies and then use comms networks that are already existing and carry out a terrorist attack. Coming in at number 7, we have Tempest in a Suitcase featuring my esteemed co-founder, Chad McCoy. Chad has very nimble and flexible fingers. He was able to assemble the Tempest in less than 5 minutes. It was actually in 2 minutes and 9 seconds, if anyone's counting. But the whole point is we were able to move the Tempest in a suitcase that you could check onto an airplane. And because of how we've designed our platform, where it basically clicks together like Legos, we've patented that, by the way, we can show that like the way in which you build and move around material for all things UAS can and should be rethought and redesigned. Oh boy, how about some nightmare fuel for you? You're going to have a lot of nightmare fuel videos in this, but coming in at number 6, we have 4 droppers and 4 payloads from the quad bomber. This video is really cool. It shows a super simple device where they've basically stacked 4 different bombs onto 4 different bomb droppers, and they're showing how it would work as you would basically be able to drop 16 payloads off of a heavy lift drone. Shout out to our friends over there building the Nemesis in Ukraine. Looks probably pretty similar to some of the bomb dropping mechanisms you guys are using. Coming in at number 5, we have Landing Zones Canada announcement of its Eagle blimp product with glide munitions attached to it. This is an awesome video that shows a really clever way in which to conduct warfare. Basically, you use high altitude blimps. Anybody remember when we were dealing with one of those over the northern part of the United States? And you basically build a rig that attaches to it that can drop glide munitions. It's something that's been widely talked about as potentially being deployed in the war in Ukraine, but broader, like into the Pacific. And Landing Zones Canada makes a really great video here showing how it would work, right? You deploy the balloon, you have a bunch of like kind of payload agnostic glide munitions that can drop from 100,000 feet, and then they can glide down and basically have like an extended range of both communications, attack, and then they show a couple interesting decoys in there too. So forcing the other guys to spend, to use a $2 million missile against something that could be, a $50,000 drone. Coming in at number 4, we got the Robo Dog modular drone that disconnects and connects. Talk about nightmare fuel. Oh, we're out here doing kung fu. Oh, kickflip. Do a kickflip. And it can walk on water. The Jesus Robo Dog. The Chinese have this infatuation with these wheeled Robo Dogs. In the last couple of years, it seems like they've moved away from more of the Boston Dynamics dogs that like kind of bounce around with on legs, and they've put some like all-terrain wheels on them. Now, a lot of people say these videos are like AI and fake, and as you go to these companies' websites, you can actually see video after video after video of them clearly operating these things on like the streets of China. And I think part of that is like the Chinese government has poured billions of dollars into robotics. And we can get into the geopolitical reasons of that. Why? I mean, you got this aging population and this massive population bomb. So how are you going to do stuff around cities or work in factories if you don't have robots to replace the humans you're about to lose in the next 10 years? But what I think it shows in a broader sense is like just how willing they are to throw cash and to try new things when it comes to all things robotics. And obviously having like the factory of the world in southern China allows them to iterate and build at such a quick clip that we're seeing many new novel designs come out of China when it comes to robotics. Coming in number 3, we got the Laowan 1, aka the mobile global missile and satellite tracking boat with the awesome beat. All right, so the Laowan 1, when this video came out, it caused quite the stir around the world. Basically, China is saying, we're going to take all of our ability to monitor ballistic missiles and spacecraft launches. We're going to put it on a boat and we're going to move it around the ocean so you can't find it. This is part of China's strategy to basically start having like the ability to see through, I won't even call it the fog of war, but it is kind of like the fog of war, to get better understanding of what is entering our atmosphere when it comes to all things space and ballistic. Pretty cool video. So this video coming in at number 2, we call it Narco Sub. It has everyone's 2 favorite topics, which are submarines and cocaine. And it talks a lot about how, it's a great video from The Economist talking about how the cartels have invested super heavily into these type of products. They're increasingly unmanned. They can go across the Atlantic. They can go across the Pacific. And you don't have any of the problems when you have a manned group, right? You can be kind of semi-submersible the whole time. People don't need to get out and get air. You can travel large distances. And because the money associated with like the street value of this cocaine is so high, you have like massive investments starting in the 90s to originally build these things and now just advancing into these type of like unmanned vessels that can move a lot of product, right? You know, that video showed, I think, 8 tons of cocaine. I don't even know what the street value is. We'll put it up on this video. I'm sure it's going to be like in the hundreds of millions. But the point of this is, if you have the ability to make money and use robotics, the cartels will figure out how to do it. And coming in at number 1 with hundreds of thousands of views, shout out to my boy Eric Smith. We got to meet in DC a couple months ago. We have the Sora-powered chicken drone. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a chicken drone, not a partridge in a pear tree. The chicken drone video was epic. And if you haven't seen it, we'll put a link in there. You got to go read the comments. The banter was top rate. The graphics are mediocre, which is what we expect out of Sora. But it's definitely an all-time favorite, as you basically, you know, put a chicken and a drone together and then made a funny video with some great music. And on the first day of Drone Wars, my true love gave to me a chicken drone in a pear tree. That's stupid.